Are you actually wasting more food at home than you realize? Hi Chefeteers, I'm Chef Nakia, and I want you to be more confident in the kitchen and to see if you can spot any of these sneaky ways you might accidentally be wasting more food than you realize. This video isn't about making you feel guilty for creating food waste. I'm sure you are already taking many steps throughout your life to cut down on the waste that you create. But I wanted to share these 5 less talked about phenomenon that I've noticed that are fairly sneaky ways in which we can end up wasting more food than we realize we're wasting. These are things that maybe you haven't thought about before, and the best way to get better at anything is to have more of an awareness around what is going on and learning more ways, more things to think about as you are trying to reduce your food waste to as little as possible. Now, in the past, I have made some videos talking about how to reduce your at-home food waste from a more like holistic and like beginner's perspective. So if that is more your speed, I will link the videos here and then also in the description box below. But today's video, we're really gonna get very specific with these 5 ways and the simple steps that we can take to reduce our food waste if we find that these sneaky ways have snuck up on us too. And these are not really in order from like you are wasting the most food doing, potentially the most food doing this, to like a smaller risk. They're just the random order that I put them in. So number 1 is overfilling everybody's plates, like as you're serving dinner or whatever meal. And then at the end of the meal, everyone has a little bit left over, but you kind of feel weird saving those for leftovers. So you go ahead and just scrape the plate in the trash, and maybe you don't have any leftovers or you have less leftovers. You're going to take that entire pan of food and, you know, divide it out, but it's actually more than anybody can eat or like feels hungry for at that time. It's a totally normal thing to do. Now, of course, if it is like just you, you might feel a little bit more comfortable saving the leftovers from your plate and reheating them and eating them and everything. But yeah, maybe if you have your entire family's plates all being scraped into the same Tupperware, it might make you feel a little weird, a little less appetizing the next time you want to eat that. So it totally makes sense that you would then just go ahead and put that in the trash. But a simple switch you can make to prevent this kind of food waste is to portion out everybody's servings just a little bit less than what you think people might be hungry for, and then have it really easy for everyone to serve themselves more. And you can do this by placing the pots or pans on the table. So as you eat, all you have to do is, you know, scoop a little bit more out to serve yourself a little bit more. Or if, you know, the pots and everything are still really hot, just keep them fairly close by in the kitchen with the serving spoons still in them. That way, as people finish what is already on their plate, they can go and serve themselves a little bit more. And it's more likely that everybody is going to be a little bit more realistic about how hungry they still are after they've already eaten some. You know, sometimes we can feel really, really hungry, so we pile a plate high, and then as we're eating, we're like, oh yeah, my eyes were way bigger than my stomach. But as you serve yourself a little bit more, you can usually like more accurately estimate just how much is gonna make you feel full. The number 2 sneaky way that you may be accidentally wasting more food at home than you realize is by tossing out perfectly good food just in case. Just because like you feel like maybe it's been in the fridge or pantry or wherever you've been storing it for too long, and yeah, I'm just gonna toss it just in case. And I feel like this happens a lot with like produce items, like things that do not come from the store with a Best By date labeled on them. And if you do have questions about like Best By, sell by type expiration dates, stick around because I'm going to be talking about that too. But I'm really going to focus on like the produce items here, because sometimes we feel kind of unsure about, okay, what is the best way to actually store this eggplant? Or am I supposed to wash this as soon as I get it home and then keep it whole? Or should I slice it and then put it in the fridge? And then how long is it gonna last? And maybe 3 or 4 days later, you pull that food item out of the fridge and you're like, well, I don't see any mold on it. I think it smells fine, but I don't really feel confident about eating it. So you know what, I'll just toss it anyway. And maybe you compost it, which is better than nothing, but actually eating and enjoying that food would be the best, right? So I have these produce guides that I put together that help you know exactly how to store your fresh fruits and vegetables so that they last as long as possible. And then it also gives you that confidence to know that typically this vegetable will last about this many days. And so you know, like, all right, as long as there is no visible mold on it and it's within those days, I can still use it up. The produce guides that I've made are linked in the description box, and you'll see a few different formats whenever you go to that link. It's all the same information, it's just organized in different ways. So one of them is organized alphabetically, there's another one that's organized by seasonality, a third one that is organized by like the method of storing. Everything's grouped together by kind of where it's going to live, whether it's on the countertop or in the fridge. And then the last is grouped together by how quickly things will go bad. So I organize them in different ways because I know different people will respond best to different styles of organization. So you can go there, download the one that is organized in the way that will work best for you. And then hopefully it will help you reduce the amount of food that you waste, because you will have more confidence in knowing how to properly store your fresh fruits and vegetables, and then understanding really where those like borderlines of safe to eat and potentially unsafe to eat really lie. Our third sneaky way that you might be contributing more food waste than you realize is by not really understanding the difference between a best by date, a sell by date, a use by date, and if any of these dates that we see printed on our packages apply to the quality of the food or the safety of the food. So I will link this site from the USDA.gov website that explains it all. So if you really want to get into the nitty-gritty of these, you can. Overall though, most of the dates printed from the manufacturer onto your food products speak to the quality of the food. So if there is a use by date on there, it is what the manufacturer has determined is the date in which the quality of that food product is going to start to deteriorate after that date. It is not necessarily that it is unsafe to eat. It's just that whenever you have a benchmark sample, like a fresh sample, versus a sample at this date, you're gonna start to see a difference, be able to notice whether it's a texture or flavor difference. There's gonna be some kind of difference there that shows some deterioration in quality of the food. So examples of this style of like date labeling phrase is best if used by or best if used before, sell by, use by, or freeze by. And one more note about like the sell by date is that is something that your like retailer, like your supermarket where you buy your food, they're really going to pay attention to that because they want to make sure that they aren't selling anything to you past that date because the quality has already started to fall off. If you have a packaged food that has a sell by date on it, that is definitely not the date that you should be throwing that food away. That's just the date that the retailer would take it off of their shelf and replenish it with a fresher product to ensure that you are getting the best or like up to their minimum standards quality as you're buying it from the store. Now, infant formula is kind of the only product out there that has more like legally binding dates associated with it. On this channel, I typically talk about food for like adult consumption, so I won't even get into that. If the infant baby formula thing applies to you, you can just research that specifically. Follow those dates, of course. But in general, any packaged good that you are purchasing from the supermarket or anywhere, whenever there is a Best Buy style date on it, it does not mean that you need to be throwing away that food as soon as that Best Buy date passes. What you really need to be looking for are signs of spoilage. So an off aroma, visible mold growth. If it is like a clear liquid and you're starting to see like a cloudiness to the liquid, or if it is supposed to be something like very smooth and homogeneous and you're starting to see like chunks in it, those kinds of things. Aroma is one of the biggest ones. But the visual of mold growth and the aroma of, there being an off aroma to it, maybe something sour, extra sour, or it might smell like kind of musty and moldy. Those are your big triggers that, okay, this has now spoiled and I will throw it away, not feed it to myself or my family. Yes, this does create a little bit of like gray area and uncertainty, because like, what if you don't have the strongest sense of smell and you're like, maybe that smells a little off, but I don't know, is it like really that bad off, or am I just sensing some, a smell that's a little different, but like it's not necessarily bad? So trusting your own instincts with this, I know, is not necessarily as easily said as done, but just know that because you see a date listed on a package, that should not immediately motivate you to throw that food away. Give it a look check, a sniff test, and a gut test, and if something seems off, then yes, go ahead and throw it away at that point. But at least run it through your own instinct check first. Now, sneaky way number 4. And I must admit, this is the sneaky way that has gotten me the most. So I am right there with you guys in wanting to get better at reducing my food waste and keeping my eyes peeled for times like these. And what I am talking about is those times whenever you are at the grocery store or farmer's market or wherever you do your shopping and you see something, whether it be a fresh produce item or a type of meat that you don't typically cook with maybe, or some kind of packaged good that you see and you're like, wow, that's super exciting. I'm gonna buy some of that because I can't wait to get it home and eat it. Like, I do this a lot with fresh berries. I'll just admit that. I'm like, man, those blueberries look so good. I'm very excited to buy them, to eat them in the future. And then I get home with that product and I'm like, oh, those blueberries kind of look good. I kind of want some. But then I think, no. I want to savor and enjoy the fact that I have these. And so I'll like stop myself from eating it right away, put it in the fridge. And then before I know it, it's gone bad and I haven't even eaten half of them because I keep waiting to enjoy them because I enjoy the feeling of knowing that they're around. I know, it's kind of crazy. Like, when I actually stopped and thought about what I was doing, I was like, why in the world would I do that? I should just eat them right away. I'm gonna encourage all of you too. If there is something that you purchase and you're really excited, take it home and maybe just eat it right away. And if you aren't going to eat it right away, then I urge you to find a way to gamify it for yourself so that you still end up eating it within a time frame that makes sense. So maybe gamifying it for you is creating a fun map or something on the fridge where you can add in the stuff that you are really excited to have and then to eat. And so it's almost like a Candyland map or something like that, where like you land on the space and then you eat that food. Or you could just simply set a notification or something to come up on your phone to remind you to eat it. Or if you have other people in your home, you could gamify it by saying like, all right, we have this ingredient in the house we're really excited about. Now everybody think up of the best dish that you can think of for this and then cook that together. Or if it's the type of ingredient that you just like snacking on, you can still think of different ways, you know, to eat it and still just snack on it anyway. Maybe everybody gets to come together, share their ideas as you're snacking on it. Gamifying things can be a great way to cut down on procrastination. Not necessarily with everything, but a lot of times, if we are excited to purchase something and we bring it home, that's probably about the best quality it's going to have anyway, and the longer that it hangs out, the worse it's gonna be, so you might as well enjoy it as fresh as possible. So if this is something that you maybe haven't thought of before, but now you realize, oh, I kind of do that too, I challenge you to, the next time that you see something at the store that you're really excited about, whenever you get home, you know, wash it or unpack it, whatever is the right thing to do with it, and eat it like that same day, maybe even the same hour that you get home from the store. See if you can, you know, win at that game. And then number 5 of the sneaky ways that you might be wasting more food than you realize is by purchasing an ingredient to cook with it for one recipe and not really knowing what to do with it after that. And in about 6 months, you find it in the back of your pantry or fridge and you're like, oh, I forgot I had this, and then you just toss it. So instead of buying that ingredient and just letting it sit around and go bad, I recommend that either if you're looking through a recipe and it has an ingredient like that in it, you look for a substitution. And you can easily like Google that to figure out what a good substitution is. If you are one of my clients, then I love working with you all in all kinds of recipes for all kinds of ingredients to help you with those substitutions. So use me as your Google and I will talk you through different substitutions, because I know that there are better substitutions for better palates. So that's obviously with my clients why I love helping them find those right substitutions for them. So whether you order my grocery delivery or have me do some of your meal prep and cooking for you, like definitely let me know anytime you want to substitute anything. So if you can't find a good substitution or a substitution for that ingredient that you feel excited about, I recommend before going to the store, go ahead and search up and find 2 or 3 other recipes in which that ingredient is used that sound delicious to you. And I'm not saying that you need to definitely cook those recipes like this week. Maybe you plot them in over the next couple of weeks until like between now and whatever the shelf life of that ingredient is. I think of this a lot as like condiments and things that are gonna have longer shelf lives. Now, of course, if it is a fresh produce item, then if it only lasts 7 days, yeah, you may need to make 2 or 3 of those recipes in the same week. But if it is a condiment or something that will still be good in 4, 5, 6 months, I still urge you to try to find recipes to use it up within the month, because it will still be a little more top of mind. The other thing to think about is how large of a quantity of this unique ingredient are you going to need to buy? And so try to find recipes to use up that whole quantity. Most of the grocery stores that we shop at have an app now, and you can go and search up that ingredient so you can see what quantities they are selling it in. Again, fresh produce is a little bit different, but for packaged type goods, unique ingredients. So you can see like, oh, okay, when I buy this, the smallest amount I can buy is 4 ounces. This first recipe that I want to cook is going to use 1 ounce. So are there other recipes that I can find that will help me use up the other 3 ounces? And yes, in America, usually the type of measurement we use is tablespoons. So like 1 ounce would be about the same as like 2 tablespoons of something. So think about the quantity of the ingredient that you are going to be stuck with if you buy it, and then see if you can find recipes to cook within a time frame that makes sense for you and for the ingredient, to make sure that you use up the majority of the rest of that unique ingredient. Also, as you've cooked with that unique ingredient a couple times, you're probably going to feel a lot more confident using it and really understanding the flavors that it's adding to your dishes or the textures that you're getting from it. And so just with that practice of using it in 2 or 3 or different recipes, I think you're probably going to also find other ways that you want to use it that don't necessarily require you to look up a specific recipe for it. So like if it is a condiment, let's say for example, you might think, ooh, I wonder what this would taste like on a sandwich. And so like one day for lunch you make a sandwich and you just drizzle a little bit on there and see what it's like, right? Like those ideas will probably start popping up in your mind after you've used the ingredient in a couple different recipes. And that will also help you to be able to use up the rest of that ingredient and have a lot of fun experimenting with new things and like letting your curiosity lead the way. All right, so those are the 5 sneaky ways that I see a lot of people at home wasting more food than they realize. And hopefully, if any of these stood out to you as things that like, oh, I've never thought about that before, but yeah, I guess I tend to do that too. Hopefully, you can implement some simple little changes to help you reduce your food waste. I think that every small step that we take really does add up. And as with reducing waste over like every part of our lives, the simpler the swaps and the changes can be, the more likely it is that you'll stick with them. And then that creates, less waste compounding over time. So that's why I really wanted to share simple ways that you can try to reduce some of this waste. And if you are in the Denver area and you want even more ideas for how to reduce your food waste, or you want to work with a chef who is gonna keep that in mind for every meal that we're cooking together, go ahead and visit my site in the description box, because as I'm grocery shopping for my clients, I'm always thinking, how can we reduce our waste? And so if I realize that they're only gonna use part of this thing that I'm buying them, then I send them recipe ideas for how to use up the rest of it. And when I'm in people's homes cooking with them or for them, then I'm utilizing different methods like pickling leftover veggies and things like that, so that as we're preparing the food, we're also immediately taking care of any of those weird leftovers so they don't get a chance to sit in the fridge and get all slimy and unusable. I like to be proactive about reducing our food waste. So yes, in the Denver area, and you want more of that in your life, definitely connect with me. And continue following along here for all kinds of kitchen tips to help you be more confident in the kitchen. Thank you, Chefeteers.